Hey everybody, this is Lewis Porter Jr. This is kind of an important message. I'm really recording this because I think a lot of you people need to know this. And since it's pretty common knowledge on my personal Facebook page, I thought it'd be best to explain a lot of things that are going on. A lot of people know that I'm not going to PaizoCon this year due to some personal events in my life. And what's really going on is roughly about Thanksgiving last year. My wife was taken to the hospital, but she's been suffering some kind of migraines for a couple of weeks, and we thought it was just, she's getting severe migraines and it's serious. But on Thanksgiving, it got to be so painful, my wife needed to go to the ER. While there, they said, oh, it's probably just migraines. Why don't you get an MRI just to make sure? So the guy gave her an MRI, and they located a mass in her brain. And they were like, we don't know what this is. Let's get a more detailed MRI. And we got a more detailed one, and the mass was pretty significant. The mass in my wife's head was the size of a golf ball. We then did a biopsy of the mass, and the biopsy came back cancerous. So, in really layman's terms, my wife has a brain tumor, a cancerous brain tumor. And basically there are 4 grades of tumors in your head. In your body you get stages. In your head you get grades. All kinds of stuff you learn when you're battling cancer. Grade 1 is usually for infants. Grade 2 and 3 are for adults, and grade 4 is for adults. 1 and 2 are pretty reasonably able to be dealt with. 3 is pretty aggressive. And 4 is what they call 13 to 18 months. And you're like, what does that mean? That means if you get diagnosed with a grade 4 tumor in your brain, you have 13 to 18 months to live. My wife's got grade 3. Now, the good news is a grade 3 tumor doesn't become a grade 4 tumor. So there's no worry about that possibly happening. The downside is that her grade 3 tumor has a lot of characteristics of a grade 4. It's incredibly aggressive, and it's growing. Back in, I guess it was February, my wife suffered a massive seizure, which put her in the hospital for a couple days. And if you've never had the pleasure of watching your loved ones thrash around the bed and look like they're swallowing their own tongue, it's something you can avoid watching, and that happened then. A few weeks ago, my wife at home was having some more pain. Oh, sorry. My wife has already been through the first round of chemo and radiation. She did 7 weeks of that. And at the end of that, the tumor itself had grown a centimeter. That's right. 7 weeks of chemo and radiation, the tumor grew a centimeter. And with that, we decided to take a little more radical, more aggressive nature with this tumor, because it's not giving up. So, about 3 weeks ago, it's been like 3 weeks ago, my mother-in-law, who lives with us, called me at work to tell me, please come home, there's something wrong with Carla, my wife. And I got home, and Carla was really in a lot of pain. I'm thinking like, well, maybe it's just the meds, and that's it. Went back to the emergency room. In the middle of the emergency room getting admitted, she suffers another seizure. And it scared the pants off me. I saw the first one was probably horrific. This is only just really bad. But still, you're watching your wife thrash around. It's not something you really want to see. So they took her in, they admitted her, and she basically was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks. We decided on doing a little more aggressive chemotherapy, which we've been doing every 2 weeks. We spend 3 or 4 hours getting chemotherapy. And, all this is going on now. And everybody knows I have a young son, just a year old. This has been a lot in a very short amount of time. And with all this going on, I've done my best to keep the business running for several reasons. One, it gives me a little sanctuary, so I don't have to think about what's going on with my wife. It gives me at least that break. The downside is, since the cancer is here and it's going on, it limits me to do certain things. Like I said, like including PaizoCon, which I planned to go and I really wanted to go, but these events make it impossible. And it kind of upsets me that I can't go. And once again, I really wanted to go because, hey, I've never been to Seattle, so I was like, whoa, Seattle, never been. Always wanted to go. And it's just, meeting a lot of the fan base, and it upsets me, but that's the way it is. I've got a wife and a family to take care of, and that's very, very important to me, especially since I've been 8 years trying to get this whole relationship with her worked out so we could eventually get married, and now almost 3 years later, have this great life. So that's kind of important to me. What I'm really asking for my fan base is, there's going to be moments where you're not going to hear a lot from me, or I'm not going to talk about the situation. For lack of a better term, I don't want to talk about it because it makes me cry. We're talking about my wife and, the mother of my son. And there is, I have to be adult about it. There is a possibility anything can happen, including the worst thing possible, which would be, my wife dying. But, I have to take that into consideration. So, a lot of the projects that we have planned may not come out when I hope them to come out due to this. A lot of people I've been working with have been really, really helpful, and I'm really grateful to have them in my life help me with a lot of these projects. So, don't be surprised if I take some time off or have to announce something very quickly that I need to take some time off, I need to focus on something. It could happen. It could possibly happen. But I wanted at least the fans to know who supported me for a very long time to know what's going on. I just want my wife to live. I love my wife. I'm very thankful to have the woman who married me because she's really incredible. But like I said, I wanted my fans to know what's going on, and I thought it was important that you know. Also, most likely, I will not be going to Gen Con or Origins, but I will say this. Not if, but when we beat this cancer. Because we're beating this. Because F this. I spent years getting this girl. She ain't going nowhere, so F that. We're going to beat this cancer. When we beat this cancer, I will try to attend as many times as possible to meet my fan base and say thank you for all the support. That's really it. That's really what's going on here at LPJ Design. Once again, thank you so much for your support, and thank you for watching this video. Talk to you later.